Science Fiction Book Club, hanging out here at New York Comic Con, and I'm talking with Joe Schreiber, the author of Star Wars Death Trooper and the forthcoming Star Wars Red Harvest. Joe, welcome. Thanks for talking to the Science Fiction Book Club.
Thank you so much.
I have to admit, when I saw the first book, Star Wars Death Troopers, in the publisher's catalog, it was like a shot of adrenaline. Because who would have thought that Star Wars would venture into horror?
Right, yeah, it was a big shock to me too when they asked me if I'd be interested in writing it. At first I thought it was a joke. And then I found out that they were serious about it, that they'd been talking about the idea, and I was absolutely enthusiastic about it.
Now, you've written some horror novels prior to this. What was it like to enter the realm of Darth Vader and the Skywalkers?
Well, I mean, it was more than anything else, it was just a lot of fun. Because from the jump, Lucasfilm was very open about what they wanted and what they were going to allow me to do. They pretty much said they wanted to do like a George Romero story in the George Lucas universe. You know, they sort of left it open for me as far as how intense the action was going to get, and really sort of left it open to me as far as what characters I wanted to use, to the extent that it wouldn't intrude on other things they had going on. But they were a dream to work with, and it was a fantastic experience.
Reaction to the books have been very positive. And do you think there's going to be more horror in the Star Wars universe?
I think there's definitely an appetite for that out there. I think people really enjoy the Star Wars canon, and they're excited when something new, not necessarily horror, but a new turn comes out, like somebody comes up with a new take on it. And that was my experience with these books. I mean, not everybody loved them, but for the most part, people were excited to see Lucasfilm being willing to say, okay, we've been at this for 30 years now. You know, let's take a chance, let's do something slightly different, or you know, even a little radically different, and see where it takes us. And more than anything else, I think it gives people an opportunity to think about the things they like in a new light, and to sort of remember what was exciting about it the first time they were exposed to it.
How much fun did you have? How carefully did you plot out these zombie outbreaks?
Well, I have to be honest, there was an outline that I turned in and nobody really liked very much. That was the initial one. I used a lot more of the established Star Wars characters in my first draft. And their note was, you know, that's fine, but you have to understand nobody's going to worry about anything bad ever happening to these characters. They're all going to go on and survive and be in all these Star Wars movies. I was like, crap, you're absolutely right. So I sort of went back to the drawing board, and I was able to use some Star Wars characters, but also was forced to sort of create original characters that were as engaging as these beloved, you know, canon characters, and introduce them into the mix too. It was like making this great mixtape, you know, stirring in some stuff of my own, along with some really like stuff that you could just hear in your head, like stuff that's so well known for your imagination, mixed together. It was just a ton of fun to do.
Who are some authors that have inspired you in your work?
Well, I think I probably became a writer because of guys like Stephen King and Harlan Ellison, guys who just love to write and were so intense about it at the time. And reading their books was like learning how to write at the same time for me. And then going on, some science fiction writers I like, William Gibson, definitely had a sort of an element or part of the voice of the Star Wars book, just in terms of what untrustworthy technology can mean, and sort of the dark side of technology that Lucas deals with too in some of the movies.
So what can we expect from you in the next year or two?
Death Troopers is out now. Red Harvest, which is the prequel, is coming out in December. And then next year, I'm kind of doing something new. I have a young adult novel called Au revoir, Crazy European Chick, which Houghton Mifflin is bringing out next fall. And there'll be a sequel to that. So after that, I really don't know. The sky's the limit.
Okay, so I have to ask, if the zombie outbreak, the zombie apocalypse were to happen right now, what would you do?
I think I would probably be one of the first ones eaten, because I would be the guy who stands there struggling with disbelief until the thing takes a bite out of his neck. All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Joe Schreiber, author of Death Troopers, and you can find my books at the Science Fiction Book Club and at SFBC.com.
One of the artists of the best-selling comic book series, Star Wars Legacy. Hi Jen, thanks for talking to the Science Fiction Book Club.
Hi Rome, nice to talk to you.
So tell me, were you a Star Wars fan before you started working on the series?
I have been a Star Wars fan since I first saw A New Hope in the theaters. When it first came out, I mean, I was an instant fan. I think I saw the first movie about 36 times.
I think we have that in common.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so actually Legacy has a really nice chemistry between the main characters. The dialogue is fresh, and the characters also have a really fresh look to them. Could you talk a little bit about what it was like to draw the characters?
They seem to take on personalities as John and I were working on it, and just became real people to us. We always say that with the best characters, that they write themselves. They put words in your ears so you can write them better. And that's what Cade and his crew have been like. They're just a lot of fun. There's a chance for snappy dialogue, and it reminds us a lot of the old, of the original trilogy.
Yeah, I think you really succeeded on that part. Now, Cade Skywalker, he's the last Skywalker in the Star Wars universe. What does that do to the continuity with Luke Skywalker and his generation?
Well, in some of the novels, Luke has had, he has a son, Ben, and we assume that Ben would have children at some point. So Cade is sort of a natural progression.
He seems to embody the struggle between good and evil, the Force and the dark side. How does that play out in your depiction of him?
I always think of him as being a conflicted individual. He has a lot of issues with being a Jedi. He has a lot of issues with the destruction of the temple on Ossus, his death of his father, his mother abandoned him. I think if that hadn't happened, he'd be a very different person, but not totally different. I think he has something inside of him where he just has to question. Vader had questions about his actions. Cade has questions about life.
Okay, that's a good point. Now, there are a lot of saber fights in the graphic novels, and I know that you are a master swordsman.
Not exactly a master swordsman. I do study sword, a Korean sword called Haedang Gumdo, and I'm far from being a master, but I do enjoy it, and I love to take moves that I've learned and incorporate them into Legacy.
What are you working on now? What do we have to look forward to in Legacy and anything else that you may be working on?
Well, Legacy War is the next series coming up. It will be 6 issues and feature Cade and the crew of the Minok and the Imperial Knights and the Jedi and the Sith and everybody in a sort of a final showdown.
All right, thanks so much for talking with the Science Fiction Book Club.
Thanks a lot, Ro.